Okay, be sure and like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you can be notified when I have more videos like this. Hope you enjoy this one. Thanks for watching. Okay guys, for this gnome, you're going to need the pattern. It's in the description below. You're going to need a couple Dollar Tree shoes, a pool noodle, a hair noodle, some glitter cardstock, some old socks. You're going to need some fabric for the body, a couple buckles, a nose, 2 little beads for his hands, some weights, some fabric for his shoes, some faux fur, some needle and thread, some tape, and some little sticks. Okay, let's get started. Okay, go ahead and cut all your pieces out of the chipboard. I went ahead and scored mine with the lines on the pattern, and I'm going to take the second one and I'm going to cut my little slits all the way around. And this is going to be the piece that goes on the top part of the hat. And we're going to tape this hat completely together, but don't worry about too much tape because it's not going to be seen. It's going to be covered up. Just going to take all those little tabs and we're going to fold those in all the way around. Now I missed this little slit. And keep going all the way around till you have all your little pieces folded in. Then we're going to take the bottom piece, the bill, and we're going to fold all our little tabs back. And you're going to determine how big to make your hat, the tall part of the hat, by putting it into the insert of this to make sure you get it. Go ahead and break those fibers up a little bit. Just take it and run it through your hands to kind of break the fibers up so it will go around. And then we're going to curve that inside the hat to see how big it needs to be because we need it to be exactly that size. Once you figure exactly what size that's going to be, then you can go ahead and tape that side down. Okay, then we're going to put it right back into the center after we tape that one piece down. And then we're going to glue all those little tabs all the way around, just so it holds it in place so that we can tape it in here in just a second. Okay, now we're going to just take some tape, and I'm just using painter's tape, so if I have to mess up, I can pull it right back off. And then we're going to finish it off with some duct tape. Just get that put in, and then we're going to go over the top part here, and same thing, we're going to take our glue gun, and we're going to glue that down. Just make sure it's flush, and get it glued in. And then we're going to tape it as well, just to make sure that this really stays together. And it adds a lot of sturdiness by putting this tape on it too. All right, now we're going to take our duct tape and we're going to try to get it real smooth around the edge before we cover that top part up with some cardboard. Just kind of stretch it on around there. And then we're going to take our other piece of chipboard and we're going to glue it on. And if you made the steampunk hat, this is exactly the same pattern as the steampunk hat. All right, now we're going to take our circle here in a second, and we're going to use the larger of the circle hole. There are 2 of them. The larger one is going to go on top. So we're going to go right over the top of that, and we're going to glue that down. And then the other one's going to go on the bottom, just to kind of finish it out and make it a solid hat. Okay, now we're going to take our fabric and go around the center. Just glue that in. Just get it really glued in there good so it doesn't come apart. And then we're going to put the circle on top. And you might want to spend a little bit of time getting it really glued in. Put your circle in. It's going to be indent a little bit. And then you can just make sure that your sides glue down to that, glue up to the edge of that as well. All right, and then we're going to flip it over. And we are going to add the bottom. I don't know what the deal with my glue gun is, but that little tip will not stay on. Okay, then we're going to take that piece and we're just going to glue that to the bottom. And then spend a little bit of time just gluing those edges close together so that it's completely trimmed out all the way around. You don't see any of the cardstock or the chipboard. Just spend a little bit of time really getting that put together good. And then I had some buckles. You can just get buckles anywhere you want to. You're going to cut a strip to go through your buckle, but it's going to, I don't have a pattern for that because it's going to depend on what size buckle you have. And we're just going to put a buckle with a band around that hat. So figure out what size buckle you have, and then you need to cut your fabric accordingly. Just run it through there. We're just going to go right around the top part of the hat. And you could make this out of glitter paper or whatever you want to do. And you'll see later on in the video, that's what I did with his little shoes. I used glitter cardstock. Just glue that all the way around so it has a nice band around his hat. Most Hobby Lobbies and Michaels sell buckles. Okay, take your hat, put it onto your noodle, draw a line, and we're going to attach our body, our fabric for our body just above that line. So we want to make sure we just go above that line. Wrap it around there, glue it in, and then we're going to spot glue it to the noodle here in a second. And if it's not even on the bottom, just trim out the excess so that it is a smooth edge all the way around. Then just come back in there and take the glue and just kind of spot glue it in on two sides. And then we're going to go ahead and cut out our beard. Go ahead and draw a circle on that beard. And we're going to take our scissors and we are going to cut just through the backing only, all the way around. Don't cut through the face of the fur, just the backing only. Then we're going to go ahead and clean that up and put it aside. Okay, now we're going to take our buckle again. And you can get any buckle you want to. Just take your fabric and go through that buckle, and we're going to come and put it down below his belt line. That way when you put his beard on, you'll be able to see it. And then just glue that all the way around, glue it in good. And again, I don't have a pattern for that part. It's just going to depend on what buckle you get to see what size of fabric you're going to need. Okay, now that we got that done, we're going to go ahead and put his collar on. On the front part of the collar, we're just going to glue on the, that's craft foam, white craft foam. We're not going to cut a slit in it because it's hidden by his beard anyway. And then on the back part, we're going to take it, find the center of it, and then we are going to cut just a V out of that for the back part. And then glue that in. All right, then we're going to take his beard and we are just going to go just above that white line and glue that down. Just above it, go above it, and glue it to the noodle. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do his arms. We're going to cut our noodle at 3 inches. And then we're going to cut the other one to match it. And then we're going to pull our wires out and just make sure that those little noodles are exactly the same length. Just trim them off. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and take our fabric and we're going to put our little bead towards the end. You want it to hang out a little bit. And then we're going to go across there and add our noodle. And we're going to do that with both of them. And then we're going to roll them up and we're going to add our cuff. Just glue them all the way around and roll them up. And then do the same thing for the other one. And then when you're doing your cuffs, you'll see I kind of looked at them for a minute. We want to make sure we're going to wrap a cuff around the edge there, glue it down, and then you want to make sure that the opposite one has your seam in the back and the cuff is going the opposite way. So just all you got to do is just glue that there. And then the next one, if you see, we're going to have opposite. So make sure your seam is in the back on both of those and that your cuffs are opposites. And then just glue that down. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we are going to bend it and we are going to attach it to the body. We are going to cut a hole into the fabric and then cut a hole into the noodle, and that's where we're going to attach those. Just take your scissors and then cut them on both sides, and then I'm just taking my pliers to wallow it out a little bit to get those in there. Just make sure that you get them in there good, and you have the collars facing, the cuffs facing outward. Add your glue, and then go ahead and glue that in. Just make sure you pay attention to your cuffs and that your seams are in the back. Same thing on this side. We're just going to wallow that out a little bit. Make sure it fits in there. And then we're going to just glue that in. And just push it in, glue it in. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do his legs. We are going to cut our legs at 3.5 inches. And we're going to go ahead, and I took the wire out of my noodle already. Then we're going to put a stick in it. And we're using a 6-inch stick on both of these, 6 by 1/4 inch. And then we're just going to take, I just took an old sock and cut it up. And we're just going to go down one side, fold it over, because we are going to turn these right side out here in a little bit so we have a nice seam down the back. We don't have to fold it over. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing for the leg, and we're going to make like little bloomer type legs. So go down the short side and glue it over, and do the same thing for the other side. Then we're going to let those dry real good before we turn them right side out. Okay, now that they're dry, we're going to turn them right side out, and we're going to attach that to the bottom part of the noodle. And then when you do his bloomer, we're going to probably come up about 3/4 of an inch to start his bloomers. And we are just going to take the bloomers and we are going to gather them at both ends to wrap around this. Go ahead and get your socks glued in real good. Okay, then we're going to turn these right side out. And we are going to gather the top and the bottom. And I'm using a heavy duty thread. So you'll make sure you use something that's heavy duty so that you can tie a knot and it won't come apart. Okay, so we're just going to go in and out there about, 1/4 of an inch all the way around on both the top part and the bottom part on both of them. So that we can gather them, and he has like little bloomers or knickers. Okay, and do the same thing for that one as well. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and take a circle. It's a 2.5 inch circle, and we're just going to glue it into the bottom to kind of finish that out nicely. And then we're going to go ahead and attach our knickers to our legs, coming up about, put your shoe on first so you know exactly where it's going to go. And I just painted my shoes with matte black paint, because I didn't make a pattern to cover up the shoes, so just paint them black. Okay, we're just going to tie that off, gather it up, tie it off, and I'm probably about 3/4 of an inch, and then make sure that your seam turns around to the back. And then we're going to do the same thing for the top part, just gather it on up, and then we're going to push it down to the top part of that noodle, tie it off, and then we're going to glue that into the top. Just kind of blouse those down around there, and then glue that on in. And then you're going to do exactly the same thing for the second one. Just kind of blouse it out, and do the same thing for the second one. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and attach the legs. We're just going to cut a hole with our scissors, and we're going to take our pliers and wallow that out. And then I'm just evenly spacing those on both sides in the center part of the noodle on both sides. Okay, we're going to go ahead and make sure that they fit in there really good, and then we're going to glue those in. And then we're going to add weight to the legs here in a little bit. And I'm going to show you some comparison between some weighted beads and a strip of weighted material that I got at Amazon. All right, just get those glued in good. And then we're going to attach a buckle to a shoe here in a second. We're just going to take glitter paper. We're going to fold it in half. We're going to glue it together so that it's finished on both sides. And then we're going to cut those however big you want to make them. I made mine about a 1/2 inch by 3/4 of an inch, and you can trim them out however you want to. And then I'm going to take a piece of matte black to make the buckle looking part in the center. So I'm just taking the black, and I'm going to cut it out the same size as the silver, and then I'm going to cut it in half and use half the black for each one. And then I'm just going to glue those right to the top part of his shoes. And you could use craft foam or whatever you want to. I just didn't have any more buckles, so I went to this, and I liked how the end result looked. Then I'm just going to glue it to the shoe. And you could use these for the hat and the belt as well, so however you want to do it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and attach a strip. I went back in and just attached a strip, and I don't have a measurement on this. Just wrap it around. It's like 1 inch, and that's because I didn't want the green to show through the hat. Because once I put my hat on, if I didn't glue it on there good, I would see the green. So just take a little strip of fabric and glue that on. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and attach his hat. Just glue the top part of the noodle and just push that hat on down. All right, then we're going to go ahead and attach his nose. And I saved the weighting of his feet till the end because I wanted to make sure that I had enough weight for him to stand up good. Okay, and then I'm going to show you real quick a comparison. That's the Dollar Tree shoes with the weighted beads. This is with the strip of weighted fabric or material. And you can see real quick that this weighted material is going to really weigh that down. So it's a good alternative to the noodles if you have something heavy. Go ahead and attach your... I put a little bit too much in there. So test yours before you put your bottom on. And then you can glue it in to the front part of the inside and the back part of the inside. But get him weighted down really good before you put your piece on the bottom. And then once you got it figured out, because I had to pull it off and change it up a little bit, make sure that yours, because that is heavy weights. Glue both of those on. And then we're going to just glue his shoes onto him. And that you cut that strip with scissors. It's real easy to cut, but it's a lot less of a mess than the weighted beads. All right, once you get those on, then we're going to go ahead and take a strip, and we are going to glue it all the way around to finish that out so that the sole of the shoe is hidden. And then we're going to do that to both sides. Just glue that strip all the way around. And you want to make sure you end up in the back, so I did have to trim it out a little bit. And then do the same thing with that side. And then do the same thing with the other shoe. All right, there you have it. Cute little Pilgrim Gnome. If you like the video, hit like. If you want to see future videos, hit subscribe. If you want to be notified when I have another video, hit the bell. Thanks for watching.